Hey everybody, welcome back to Pagan's Witchy Corner. My name is Pagan, and I am joined by Kayla. Kayla, how are you?
I'm good.
Glad to hear it. So, last week we talked a little bit about warding as sacred sovereignty and why it's important to have wards and why we should maintain them and all that good stuff. This week, we're going to be diving a little bit into some of the reflection questions on that lesson and giving you insights into our warding practices and why we think that that's important. So, and why we chose some of these questions as well. So, without further ado, oh, wait, no, hold up. Rewind. I forgot housekeeping. Yes. Hi. If you're new to the show, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. Also, if you are a returning listener, thank you for being here too, because without you guys, this show does not exist. Also, if you don't see me as much online in the next several months, especially around June, July, it's because I'm officially moving. So I'm
It's
only it's
official.
official that my house should be built by the end of June, and so we're really excited about that. But as long as there's no hiccups in construction, everything should be done, and we will actually be moving officially, finally. And so it's going to take longer to probably move than it is to, or I'm sorry, it's going to take longer to set up the house than it will be to move, because we have to build a whole bunch of new furniture. So that's a big deal. So it'll take me a little bit longer to get back online. But outside of that, Kayla will be available in the Discord if you have any witchy questions. I should still be
I'll be here.
around, but I will be less around. So there's the housekeeping. And now, without further ado, we will get to the questions. um Cool. So we're talking about warding and all the fun things that we're doing with that. And the first question we have on our list is, have you ever relied on cleansing or banishing instead of setting wards? And what patterns or situations kept repeating as a result? Kayla, you want to go first?
Oh, Lord. Put me in the hot
Put me
seat.
in the hot seat. Usually you end up copying my answer,
Well
so I'm going to copy yours this week.
well, we do have a lot of the same
We do.
answers.
It's true.
Um, I relied a lot earlier in my practice on cleansing more than banishing. Um, just because cleansing was more comfortable to me, and I did that instead of setting wards, and what I noticed was the same things kept happening over and over because you cleanse, and then obviously what happens when you cleanse is things get dirty again.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. It's just the nature of cleansing. Things get gunked up again, and I would have to cleanse again. So, um, what patterns or situations kept happening as a result? I will give you a story.
Story time.
So, we had story time with Kayla. We had and this is no judgment or anything on this group, okay? Preference, caveat to this story. We had, some Jehovah's Witnesses that would come to our house from a local Jehovah's Witness group. Was fine and dandy with them. They would come, we would talk to them. No hardship on either of our parts, but it was a man and his 2 daughters in cute little dresses. Was adorable. Okay. And they came, they would come, they would give us their pamphlets, we would talk, all well and good. And I would be doing my cleansing and all of that kind of thing. The pattern was they kept coming back. When I started warding and when my wife and I started warding, we noticed that they would not stay as long. And it wasn't that we were warding against them. we were warding for anyone that meant us ill will or anyone that had different intentions than we had, those kind of things. Well, it finally got to the point that they would go to pull up to the end of our driveway and throw a pamphlet as far as they could get it up our driveway. That's as far as they could get onto our property. They literally could not come within our wards for our property.
Oh my god, that's
Like,
awesome.
and finally, now they mail us stuff. They don't even come to our property. They mail us stuff.
You think that by now they would have given up?
They haven't. They still mail us stuff every now and then.
Oh my
But
gosh.
that's the pattern that has repeated and situation that has happened as a result of warding and cleansing in our life. Of cleansing, it was just the same old, same old. They would come, we would talk. When we started setting wards, they would get further and further away from the house. And that was something that we noticed, and we were just like, "What's going on?" Like, they were so nice. Like, little girls in their cute little outfits.
Yeah, but, not really taking no for an answer either, so
This is true. They didn't take no for an answer, but we didn't explicitly say no, we just said, "We're not that. This isn't." We didn't say, "No, you can't come back." You know what I mean? We didn't say, "No, you can't come back." We just said, "No, thank you. This
yeah.
isn't our bag."
Well, I mean,
But
that's no, you can't come
we
back,
didn't
but still
say, "No,
saying
you
no
can't
thank
come back."
you, that's still a no. I mean,
That's still a
it's
no of
yeah,
sorts.
it's still a no of sorts. So like the words technically
But
did
I
what they were
understand.
supposed to because, they had that intention of we're gonna convert you whether you want it to or not, and they wouldn't stop.
Exactly.
So that's ill
Exactly.
wills technically because you're not
Ill
consenting
will
to it.
technically.
That's
So
amazing.
so that's what happened, and now we get mail and get pamphlets in the mail, so here we are with random pamphlets every now and then.
Oh, that's so funny. Um, I don't know if mine's gotten that bad. And I think with mine was a lot more banishing, but I was doing a lot more banishing and cleansing, especially banishing because I was with a previous witchy group um who didn't have my best interest at heart. And they how do I phrase this? How do I phrase this in a way that
How do I
is
phrase this
yeah, I
nicely?
was gonna say, hold on, I gotta find my nice, it takes a minute. They didn't have my best interest at heart, but they also didn't have uh, the gods we were working with's best interest either. They were extremely
Oh.
disrespectful. They were disrespectful to the dead, they were disrespectful to the gods. Um, went so far as to say that they bound a god. Yeah.
Oh.
That's when I really started pulling away and going, no, I think you're full of shit, but whatever. So because of this, and once I really started pulling away, they got jealous and started to retaliate and started to send me stuff. And so I had to banish, return to sender, cleanse, all that fun stuff. And eventually they got to the point where I was left with no choice but to put their names in a jar because they
Yeah.
wouldn't back off. They wouldn't stop. And it was harassing. And so I put their names in a jar. I still have the jar, and occasionally I shake it up just to make sure the energy's still there, and that they're behaving themselves. And yeah, so when it came to all of that, I was having so much constant energy, uh spirits and things and all sorts of stuff being sent to me, and I had a lot of stuff I was having to cleanse on the regular, banish on the regular, and my wards really weren't as strong as they are now because the wards that I had back then, I didn't fully understand how to ward properly. I knew a little bit, but I didn't know enough. And so once I started realizing that the banishing and the cleansing was just this, like you, kind of an ongoing process, and started learning how to ward properly, then all of that activity stopped. I also live on a very old farm that has a lot of um questionable history because I live in the South. And so there's a lot of, spirits that wander through, and sometimes they're not very nice. And eventually they got to the point where they were messing with my kids. And so I was like, no, no, that has to stop. So again, added higher wards, did all of those things. And eventually those types of energies couldn't come in. They could be outside my house, but they couldn't come in the house. And so I had to do a lot of that because I was continuing that process of having to cleanse, having to banish, having to put undue stress on myself. And it takes a lot of energy to constantly cleanse and banish when words are not so much set it and forget it, but they are a little more set it and forget it than cleansing. Um, and I still end up, refreshing my words once a month and all that, unless something happens and I have to do it before then. But, I also do regular cleansings. I honestly can't remember the last time I had to do a banishing. I don't remember
That's a
actually.
good thing.
That's a good thing.
That's a
But
good
I
thing.
honestly don't remember the last time I had to do a banishing. I'm like, when was this? I mean, maybe? No? Okay. No, it's over a year at least. I maybe even longer than that. Yeah, it's been probably almost 2 years. So, at least. Probably longer to be fair, but yeah, it's been a long time. So, wards are important. Keep them fed, check them regularly, still do your cleansings, banishings if you need to. But yeah, once you really set your wards, it's amazing how much that energy, especially energy that you might have picked up from other people. Man, I can go out in public and come home and I'll just be exhausted, and walk through the threshold of my door and that stuff hits my wards and just bounces right off because my wards won't let it through.
Yep,
And if
yep.
you have good wards, not saying you shouldn't cleanse yourself and, shield yourself and all that, like they help a ton with that. So you get home and it's that whole moment of like, this is going to sound really bad. It's the moment of taking your bra off. If you're a girl, you
Yes,
understand. If you're a guy, well, I
yes.
guess it would be the equivalency of taking your belt off. I think my husband has that kind of thing.
Maybe?
Maybe? I don't know. I'm not a dude, so I can't honestly tell you. Um, maybe his boots off, but that would probably be the equivalent. He's a blue collar worker, so yeah, taking his boots off is probably the equivalency. But yeah, it's that moment of just like, okay, I can breathe now. Yeah, it's great. So yeah, that's my answer. Chaotic, but that's
Yeah.
just me. So, moving on to our next question. This is a little bit deeper outside of warding. It has to do with warding, but it's a little bit deeper, and sometimes we'll throw in deep thought questions to make sure that you're checking in with you and understanding your
Yeah.
mindset and all of that. Not so much because we care about your answer, because we want you to care about making sure that you're not just trying to go by the book, basically. You're really
You're
thinking
not
about
just
it.
going through the paces.
Yes. And so this next question is, if warding is an act of love rather than fear, what part of yourself are you being asked to love enough to protect? So, Kayla, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Sure, I'll go.
Go for it.
So, if it's love and rather than fear, what do I love enough to protect is a very important question. So, it's not that I fear things to protect them, it's that I love things to protect. And I love myself enough to protect myself. I love my spouse enough to protect them. I love my pets enough to protect them. I love my property enough to protect it because it has everything I own in it.
Mhm.
That sounds odd, but it's true. It has everything I own. It has all my books that I care a lot about. It has my gnome collection. It has
Your
all
ducks?
of the things that I my ducks. I collect rubber duckies, y'all.
She has,
I
like,
have
probably
a lot
thousands.
of rubber duckies. I have a lot of rubber duckies. It's true. But it has everything I own in it. I love the things that I surround myself with. So, my property and my sovereignty is what I love enough to protect. And I'm chronically ill. So I'm in this space 24/7 just about. So this space is what I love enough to protect. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, yes. Um,
Good.
oh, go ahead, sorry.
And so since I love this space, that also means that I need to love me in this space. So me in this space, which I need to work on still, I will admit that. I need to work on loving me in this space because loving me is hard. I love me, but loving me is hard. I'm not a hard person to love, but loving myself is hard.
Mhm.
And I think warding is as an act of love is something that makes your wards stronger rather than weaker. Because if you love them, you're pushing love into your wards instead of fear that can crack,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
It does make sense, at least to me. Hopefully to everyone who's listening as well.
Hopefully.
So, my answer is when it's of an act of love, what am I being asked? Um, what part of myself am I being asked to love enough to protect? Well, in general, all of me, my family, my space, similar to Kayla said, my pets, the land itself, the house, the spirits of the house.
Mhm.
All of that is a act of love in itself. But if I'm talking about just me, I have to love myself enough to be protected. Like, I have to love my mental health, even when it's shitty. I have to love my
Yes,
mind when it's hard for me to think straight or the brain's foggy because of chronic illness. I have to love my body, even though it doesn't always work the way that I want it to.
right,
Um, I have to love my emotions, even when they're chaotic. And
right.
all of those things, because warding isn't just about your space, it's also about you. If your space
Yes,
is constantly being bombarded by energy, good, bad, indifferent, and you don't have wards up and you're constantly cleansing and banishing, that takes a toll on your mental health. It takes a toll on your physical health. It takes a toll on your emotional health. And it takes a toll on your spiritual health and all of it. So you get to that point where you're overworking yourself instead of taking care of things. And so for me, I, kind of like Kayla, I have to remind myself that I'm enough. I have to remind myself that I'm enough to be loved, and I'm enough to love myself enough to do this. And yes, I failed just like a normal human being, just like everybody else, but I don't stay in the failure. I remember, oh
Yes.
yeah, hey, like I know everything sucks right now and the world's on fire and you don't want to do it, but you're going to feel better if you do this. Get up, set rewards, tend to things, cleanse your altars, do what you got to do, cleanse your house, um, and all that, and maintain everything. And then suddenly the world feels less heavy. And taking those moments of softness and stillness for myself also remind me that I deserve peace just as much as my home does. And my wards help bring that peace. They don't create the peace,
Yes.
but they keep it from being bombarded or anything affecting my peace. And, my wards, kind of like Kayla's, work so well that some folks don't want to come in my house. They'll stand in my driveway to talk to me. They won't come in my house. And sometimes they'll visit, but they will park like the furthest away from my house in my driveway because they don't want to get close to the house. And those folks, I don't want in my house. I would rather they not be in my driveway sometimes either. But
Right.
at the same time, like they they don't stay long when that's the case. The ones that want to be, that I want in my space, that I would welcome in my space, they will stay forever. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, y'all gotta go. I got shit to do. But their
Yeah.
energy is welcome, and that's the difference. So, and not only that, loving myself enough to allow other people into my space. As somebody who has trauma and all that, and I got trust issues, allowing people into my space is not something I do on a very easy way. Like, I don't like it. My space is my space, and that's for a reason. So, loving myself enough to trust when it's not trauma speaking and it's actual like intention speaking. But the interesting thing is, if my wards are doing what they're supposed to, I don't have to worry about people trying to get into my house. They don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I kind of love that. Makes me really happy. And the people who do come to visit that also are like uncomfortable in the space, it's kind of,
It's telling.
it's telling. And I was going to say it's kind of comical to watch because you get to kind of see him squirm a little bit, but at the same time it's like it makes it to where you can just go, ah, I can read you like a book. Okay, how long you want to stay? How long are you going to be here? Oh, you're not going to stay long? Okay, well, it's nice seeing you. And
Yeah.
you know I'm not mean about it, but at the same time it's, like you said, it's telling. So it's not a thing that I'm doing out of fear. I'm doing it out of the sovereignty of I deserve peace. And, like I was saying, as somebody who grew up with trauma, I didn't have a lot of peace when I was growing up. So I have cultivated it as an adult. And I protect my peace because I deserve to have peace just like everybody else does. I deserve to have a home that's loving and warm and cozy and comfortable instead of a place that feels cold and distant and unwelcoming. So, yeah, that's what my words do. And it's because I love myself and my family enough to do that. Also, love your house spirits because, yeah, everybody's house has energy and spirits. Love them. They deserve it too. Sometimes we forget that.
Yes.
Moving on to the next question. Have you learned to confuse access with kindness? And if so, has that belief shaped the way that you allow others into your energy or your space?
So This is a big one. It doesn't sound like a big one, but it's a big
Oh, it's a
one.
big question. It is. It's a heavy question.
Because when you really think about it, access is a real big thing. Who you give access to your body, to your space, to your everything, to you.
Mhm.
Who have you given access to? And have you confused that with kindness? That's a big question. So, my answer is yes. Oh, yes. I learned to confuse access with kindness very young. Growing up in the family that I grew up in and the religion that I grew up in, like, access was yes, you do what the adults say. Yes, you're nice to the old man because he's an old man. You're nice to you let the whoever it is that wants to shake your hand or give you a hug. Yes, you do that because they're older than you. No, that's not how it should be. So, that being said, that belief shaped the way I allowed others into my energy and shaped the way I allowed others to affect my energy and to affect my space because I believed that because someone was older than me, someone was in a position of power over me, that they had access to my energy out of kindness, that they had access to me out of kindness. And that's not how the system goes. That's not how it works. That's not how energy works. That's not how space works. That is not how it works. Just because someone's older than you, just because someone's in a position of power over you, does not mean that they have access to you.
Mhm.
And so I had to unlearn that system. I had to unlearn that belief and unlearn that, oh, that's the choir director. He can touch me that way. We had a choir director, and I don't mean that in a bad way. We had a choir director, I do mean it in a bad way, but not in a what most people would think of. We had a choir director who knew pressure points, and he would
Wow.
walk up and grab the pressure point in your neck, in your between your neck and your shoulder, and make you squirm,
Ew.
and I hated it.
Yeah,
I
everyone
hated
would
it,
hate it.
but he would do it and laugh, and it was one of those things where he was an adult, he was older, and he was in a position of power. So out of kindness and out of the belief structure I had, he was allowed to do that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's
So
so gross.
I had to unlearn all of that. And when I got to the point in my late teens where I was unlearning this system, I was unlearning this before witchcraft. I got to the point where he was doing that one day, and I turned around to him and I said, "Stop doing that to me. It hurts." And he just looked at me shocked, and he
Nobody
never
prob
did it
I was gonna
again.
say nobody probably ever called him on it before.
He never did it again to me.
Good.
And I was like, I have power. I have power over this. I have power over my life. I have structure over me. So it helps to know that you don't have to confuse access with kindness. You don't have to confuse those things. And you don't have to confuse that with energy either.
Mhm.
And so when you unmuddle those waters, you unmuddle who has access to your energy and your space, and unmuddle who has access to you. And like Pagan was saying about her house and her property, the people that don't wanna stay there, it kinda comes back to the same thing. Their energy doesn't jive
Nope.
with her wards. Their energy doesn't jive with hers, and doesn't jive with her space.
Sometimes it doesn't even jive with me. Sometimes they don't wanna be around me. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, for me, so slight possible trigger warning for some folks because I realized as you were speaking, I was like, yeah, we should probably put a trigger warning on this. So, trigger warning for everybody because this is a heavy question. It's one of those things where you don't realize how heavy it is until you start thinking about where have you confused kindness with access. And
Yeah,
we do this as a society. We are
we
told
do.
you
We really
have
do.
to be kind again to the elderly, you have to be kind to, people in power, you have to be kind to people who will take advantage of you, and um in like a working sense or something like that, you have to be kind to, people in power and authority over you and all those things. So by the time you get done with it, you really are like, how much energy am I giving away to people who may not deserve it? Now, the difference is kindness and respect are two separate things. You can be kind
Yes.
and have access, people can have access to you because you're being kind about it. But you can also have respect for people and have boundaries.
Yes.
So the difference between kindness and respect is kindness is something that you're willingly, for the most part, giving some sort of access to you, you're giving some sort of energy, there's an exchange there. Respect is acknowledging someone else's energy and letting it stay with them and letting your energy stay with you and not allowing those to cross unless consent is given. So you can
Yes.
still acknowledge somebody, you can still be respectful to your boss, you can still be respectful to those who are in authority, but that doesn't mean that if they're, being cruel to you, you shouldn't speak up. You need to make sure
Yeah.
that you're understanding where your power sits in addition to all that. Being kind to somebody and just letting somebody walk all over you. None of you are doormats. I'm not a doormat. Kayla's not
No.
a doormat. Nope. We are human beings and we deserve respect. We deserve
Yes.
our energy to be ours and not taken advantage of. So, again, you can meet somebody with respect and keep your boundaries and keep your sovereignty without exchanging that energy. And it works with warding, it works with shielding, all of those things. You can still smile at somebody even though you're just like, oh, yeah, I really don't like you, but hi, how are you? That's being respectful. You're not outright calling them a bitch, even if you want to. That's this respect side. Um, so where have I confused access with kindness? This is the trigger warning part. Um, And I grew up in a similar fashion to Caleb. We both grew up in the church. It was the same kind of upbringing where you're respectful to elders, even if you're not, even if they're terrible to you and so on. But mine came with my mother. Actually, most of my family. I went no contact with my family for a couple of years, and I was the one who was always being kind. I was the one who was getting that doormat kind of energy. And because, again, of trauma, but I felt or was led to believe that you have to be kind because they're older than you. You have to do this. You have to be the one who sacrifices and who puts up with it. And
Right.
eventually I hit a breaking point. And I realized that my kindness was giving my family access to my energy that was affecting me emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, especially mentally, but um and so on. And it was also affecting the people around me because the people around me were watching me go through this, and they were trying to be respectful enough to let me deal with it even though they knew I was in pain. They knew that I was not comfortable with what was happening. They knew that this was a terrible situation that I was in and that I needed to find my own way out. They were there when I did, but they were also trying to give me the space to do that so that they weren't forcing my hand. It had to come from me and so on. So that happened. And then a few years in therapy and lots of religious work and all of that. Um, I am now to the point where I'm trying to kind of sort of rebuild a little bit with my family, but it looks so different. So different than it did before. And the reason for that is because I know where I can be kind without giving access. I know where I can give respect without giving access. And the access to me is I will meet you here, but if you step over this line, everything stops. This is what I'm willing to give without hurting myself in the process or my family or anybody else. And that's where it really does start to see how my energy shapes my space, shapes myself, and even shapes the relationships I have with other people. And helps me understand that I am worthy of enough respect from people who are supposed to be family, who are supposed to care about me, who are supposed to love me, and all of that. But it also gave me opportunity to realize where I wanted to break the cycle. So I was seeing not necessarily similar behaviors in myself, but I was seeing learned things. And I learned about them a lot through therapy. And then I was able to go, you know what? This is something that I'm doing and forcing upon other people. This, version of myself that I don't like, that I became to accommodate the people who hurt me. And that was
Right.
such huge energy and huge access and so many points that I didn't realize how deep it was in my spiritual practice until I started unweaving those threads basically. And then I went, oh, well, shit. This has to stop. This has to
Yeah.
change. And once it did, it made it to where I understood what my autonomy, my sovereignty really truly looked like because I wasn't giving people free access anymore. If you wanted access to me, that was something I had to grant you access, but I wasn't giving it away for free. You had to basically prove that you earned that access. And that's where, like I said earlier, I got trust issues. I got trust issues because of that. But those trust issues also are sometimes a really great protector for me to not fall back into those habits of just being like, oh, you have to be respectful because of this. No, I don't
Mm.
actually. I don't have to be respectful to the elder who treats me like shit. I don't have to be
Yeah.
respectful or kind to the person who wants to basically talk shit to me while saying, "Oh, I was just joking." No, you don't get to treat me like that. And that was something that I had to learn, and it took years, literal years to learn that. So, if you're thinking, "Oh, I can just do this tomorrow." No, you're not going to be able to wake up tomorrow and just do this. It will take genuine practice, and that practice for me even hasn't stopped to today. I still work through it and I'm still working with it to make sure that I don't, because falling back into those old habits is easy because it's familiar, it's comfortable, you know
Mhm.
it. But striving a new path
You
forward is
grew up with
harder.
it.
Yeah, you grew up with it. And so doing that is easy to just slip right back in it. But at the same time, now I'm going, God, it just makes me almost physically ill if I have to do it. And that's the point when it's like your brain has already changed and told you you can't do that. Your energy has already said, no, that you're opening doors that should not be opened right now. Stop it. That's what that is. And
Yeah.
it's those warning systems. So, yeah. When you think that something as mundane as what Kayla and I have talked about couldn't affect your energy, it really does. If you sit down and really think about it and really look at it, it affects your energy and the energy of your space so heavily, you may not even be realizing it because you've been living with it for so long. And
Yeah.
it takes a
And when
long
you
time
get
to
rid
unlearn
of
it.
it when you get rid of it, whoa,
Oh yeah.
the different.
It's crazy the difference, to be fair. Like if you would have asked me, you know, does your home feel the same way it did 5 years ago as it does now? I would have probably laughed at you and gone, "Nope." Because every time the phone would ring and I would see certain people call me, I would get very tense and very like the room would almost get colder because I was trying so hard to defend against what I knew was coming instead of
Mhm.
just allowing myself to say, "No, I don't want to talk to you today and you don't get to treat me like shit." And honestly, if somebody does that to you and they call you and they make you feel that way and they're talking shit to you, that hang up button is so nice. That is so much power in your hand that you don't even realize that you're just like, nope, click. You don't get to have
Yep.
access to me. Not when you're talking like this. You can treat me with respect and we can have a conversation like adults, or you can fuck off. It's not my
Yep.
problem. So yeah, heavy answers. Sorry, everybody, for getting deep into the heavy, but I mean, you guys did want to know a lot about our practices too, and the heavy comes with it. Just like
The
heavy's going to
heavy comes
come
with it.
into your lessons too. It's not just going to be, our lessons aren't going to be the same. Our, practice is not going to be the same. But heavy should come with all of it because witchcraft is a growing thing where you're growing with it and you're learning from it, or you should be. Hopefully you are. That's the way it's supposed to work. So yeah. That being said, moving on to the next question is, how do you maintain your wards? Is it a regular practice or after something goes wrong? What do you believe it says about your approach to prevention over damage control? We've already kind of answered this a little bit, but maintaining wards, I will quickly just rehash mine. I have a warding altar. I refresh it once a month unless I have to because something has happened. I do regular cleansings, usually about once every 2 weeks to once a month. It really depends on how busy I am or if something has happened. Um, and maintaining my wards is a lot of it's energetic, but it also I go through my house and I cleanse, and then I will, take my finger and draw sigils throughout the entry points in my home. because those sigils are part of my wards. They are energetic, basically shields of sorts to those places that go, nope, you can't get in. It's kind of like having, um your security system when it really gets activated. It's one of those sensors for your security system. That's basically what it works as. And I have what's called layered wards, which if you're new, we do break that down in later tiers. We do have more advanced warding, so don't be like, I don't know how to do any of that. Whatever your ward is right now is good enough. When you get into later work and heavier work, we do break down layered warding and grid warding and how all of that works. So that way you're able to go, oh, okay. It would take too long to explain it in a
Yeah.
5-minute answer. So just wait, you'll get there.
Yeah.
um, and I do damage control, but damage control is only, again, if something bad has really happened. Most of the time it's prevention because I have set up my wards in such a way that it would take a lot of energy to break them. And so I prefer prevention over damage control. And it, like I said, mine's a regular practice. But I do it if something has gone wrong. If something feels off, I check it. But most of the time, it's set schedule, so to speak. So there's my answer, and I will pass the torch to Kayla.
Okay, so we don't have a warding altar, but we just regularly check them. Not on a schedule, but when my wife comes home, she checks them. When I'm here, if something feels off, I check them. Pretty much the same as you, other than the altar. We check them regularly and check for anything that feels off. And unless something's gone wrong, it is maintenance. We have um sigils on our doors, windows, screen doors. If the door itself is open, there's a sigil on the screen door. I mean, we have sigils all over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in everything is pinned up tight, and it's just maintenance at this point. Um, it's just a regularly happening thing that we do. It's once a week, once every 2 weeks. Oh, it's time to check the wards, check the bubbles, check everything to make sure they're doing okay.
And I can
See if they feel
attest,
off.
Kayla's wards are probably some of the strongest I've encountered, which like they have to allow me to like come in energetically before anything because it's so strong. And they do such a great job, but again, it's a lot of layered warding, which we will get into. But yeah, your wards can get big and badass if you need them to be. So there's a few more questions on the reflection questions that we're not going to ask. As usual, if you'd like to know them, come join the Discord and come walk the tempering path with us. If this is your first episode with us, again, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. The tempering path is a beginner's path that Kayla and I have written and spent the better part of probably 2 years working on. And it's still being worked on. We've redone a bunch of stuff. Countless hours, countless conversations with deity and meditating and all of this other stuff and practicing it and working through it ourselves to make sure that it's a good path. But it's the path that we wish that we had when we first started out. So when you get in, if you're, wanting to learn about it, the episode previous to this one is understanding the tempering path. It breaks the whole thing down. It's in depth. So I'm not gonna go through that for all of you, but the cool thing is it doesn't cost you anything except the energy you want to put into it, and the energy that you put into it is for yourself. and that's doing the work. We do reflection questions and all that, which I guess you could say we grade you on them, but we don't. It's just to make sure that you actually comprehended the lesson before you move on, so you don't end up basically being in something that's over your head. And outside of that,
Yeah.
like, we don't care about your well, we care that you answered them, but we don't care what your answers are, as long as you are being honest with yourself.
As
And
long as you're honest and you understood, you show that you understood the lesson.
yes, that's the big thing. So outside of that, it doesn't cost you anything. It's totally free. We would love for you to come in and join the Discord. We would love to have you here and to participate with us. We also do a lot of community events. Those are kind of still happening. At least Wednesdays are. Outside of that, most every other Thursday is also happening. But beyond that, everything's
Yeah.
kind of up in the air because, again, I'm moving. So bear with us. Stuff will
Bear
return
with us for the moment.
by like August, September. It'll be back online fully. Everything will be back to normal and all that. But let me get moved and then we'll get situated. And even then, I might do like a TikTok live and show you guys the whole new office that will be set up. Because it's going to be witchy and awesome and beautiful. And oh, it's so going to be great. I can't wait. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for always just being here and participating and, talking to us in the Discord when you're there, commenting on social media and the episodes, following us on social media and doing all the great stuff that you do. This show doesn't exist without you.
If you have any questions, definitely post them in the comments.
Or join the Discord
Let
and
us
ask them
know.
there. Discord will get you a
Join
more
the
direct
Discord.
answer, by the way. It'll get you a faster
Yes.
answer.
Discord will be like, oh, you have a question? Let me tell you.
Yes.
And I will tell you, or Pagan will tell you.
Sometimes both of us.
Yes, sometimes both of us will be like, here's the answer. Enter. 2 answers.
So you get 2 perspectives on the same answer, which is great. But yes, so we're going to be doing all that. Again, thank you. Y'all take care of yourselves in this crazy, crazy world. Please be kind to yourselves. Take care of your mental health, please. And remember that you are a valued human being in this world, even if the world is trying to tell you otherwise, because a lot of people are trying to do that right now. And my opinion is tell them to fuck off. So be kind to yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Drink your water. And I will see you all next time for another episode. Bye-bye, everyone.